Hello, everyone. It is your boy, That Garrett Guy, and I'm joined with the awesome and wonderful Maximos Tatum.
Hello.
All right, Max, start off by telling us who you are and what you do.
Hey, yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm Maximos Tatum. I am a writer, a director, an artist, an editor, and I make movies. I made the Pink Snake Pit, and creating that, I did all the art for it. I wrote it, I directed it, created the stage for it, created the set. And that's pretty much what I do. I'm just a creative guy. Everything I do is in the interest of telling stories, and I like to do whatever I can to have creative control over those stories and the way that they're told and how I can tell them in the most effective way possible.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Tell us more about your film, The Pink Snake Pit.
Yeah, so it's a psychological horror movie, right? And it centers around this teenage girl in the 1970s named Ingrid, who is a an actress in high school, and she's coming home to this sort of fanciful house, talking to her family, but nobody's there. This man's stalking her through the home. Turns out her family has been murdered, and she's next. And this guy shoots her, and the entire rest of the movie plays out like a sort of psychologically messed up stage play in her brain that's sort of loose and disconnected and functions like a dream. The continuity's not really there, and everything's sort of symbolic and alludes to traumatic experiences or people in her life that all ends up tying together to her murder and why she died and all of her drama, et cetera, et cetera.
That's really interesting. How did the idea for this film come about?
Sort of in a weird way. So initially, it was more driven by the art that I wanted to make for the movie than anything. I had the idea for the monster that you see towards the end of the film, uh, in this sort of bigger epic reveal moment, before anything else. I came up with that idea, and then I was like, well, I should come up with some kind of short or something to put this monster in. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I was like, what could I make to showcase my art? I wanted to just do something really ambitious and create a lot of uh, sort of spectacular visuals and intricate layered art pieces, but it ended up coming into uh, more of a narrative element as it went along. And I think it still has that element of being an art piece above anything else. I think a very casual viewing of the Pink Snake Pit is more just like an art gallery than anything, but the story sort of between the lines there, the deeper meaning and the symbolic elements of all that art is there for people that want to dig a little deeper or watch it a couple times.
I did watch it a couple of times. I was trying to figure out what was going on. What was the production process like? I'm talking writing, casting, location scouting, and the filming and editing process.
Yeah, so I actually made the movie twice. So that's probably the most interesting part of the production is it was the first thing I ever did the first time I did it. I had this idea and it was very ambitious. I ended up making it happen and we got all the footage and then I went back and watched over it and I was just like, this isn't good enough. Uh, and then, about a year later, once I had developed more resources and, more bigger network of people, we did it again and crowdfunded some money for it. We ended up raising about 5 grand. Then I put some of my own money into it as well. And I just called up all the actors we used originally and audition process. So yeah, I posted an ad to different Facebook groups and stuff like that with some concept art and a brief synopsis and sort of a description of the actors I was looking for. And people just came in and auditioned. We had a good turnout. I guess people thought it sounded interesting, and ended up, I think, getting the perfect people for.
That sounds
Uh,
interesting.
oh, sorry, I mean to cut you off. What'd you say?
Oh yeah, that sounds interesting. So you sort of made it somewhat amateurish, and then you were able to like take from what you had with the amateur production and make it far more professional.
Yeah, essentially, I made it and I wasn't satisfied with it, and but I still liked the idea. I thought it was really interesting. And it's all like on a stage, almost a theatrical three-wall set, and everything is alludes to. There was a lot going on that I thought was fascinating, but I didn't think that the original production really served justice to the idea. So I talked to Balin, who was the director of photography and who I collaborate with on basically everything, and we were like, we need to do this again, do it bigger, do it better, and that's what we did.
That's awesome. Uh, and I saw that you have a background as an actor, like you've done acting, commercials, that type stuff before. Do you think that helped and improved your directing?
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of my directing style and the way that I do things comes from my theatrical background. Because I did commercials and stuff, but I was in a lot of theater when I was younger. And in theater, things are run in a very tight knit way because you only get one take in theater, which is the entire show. People are watching the whole time. And that translates to film in an interesting way. I think that might be where my preference for longer shots comes from, finding ways to keep the camera from cutting as much as possible. And I think it helps me work with the actors definitely, and just keep things very quick. We didn't have very long to film. We filmed the whole movie in like 4 days. So a lot of work goes into the pre-production there to make that possible.
All right. W- Max, to you, what is the most rewarding part about filmmaking?
The most rewarding part, well, I mean, to me, it have almost a weird relationship to it because I love it more than anything, but there is a lot of anxiety involved with it as well, because when I make something, I want it to carry an emotional weight. Uh, the way I think about it is if I'm making something, I think about myself almost as a sponge, and I'm just sitting around absorbing things. And then when I make a movie or a short or whatever it may be, I'm wringing myself out, pouring it into a cup that is that short. So I think the most rewarding part, I mean, it's a toss up, I guess. Making it in itself is completely euphoric. It's like I said, it's like wringing yourself out and letting all these things that you've had bottled up that aren't something you can exactly communicate normally verbally with other people, or emotions you want to communicate with people. It's a totally different. It's more pathetic than just speech. People can kind of register what you're saying, and then inside themselves in an emotional way through through film, and then seeing someone really enjoy it or understand it or just have an emotional reaction to something. Oh, hang on one second. My dog's whining to come out.
That's all right. I just had my roommate take his out.
Oh, yeah. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Or seeing someone have some kind of profound or emotional reaction to something you've made. You know, having someone be provoked to create by watching something you made is, I think, the most flattering thing. Whether it just be like a written piece, a nice comment or something, or even in the case of there's fan art or something like that is really gratifying to me. Uh, to see someone respond emotionally to the emotions that I put into something is really beautiful, and then making it is a really beautiful experience too.
Well, that's wonderful. Max, tell me about your other projects, previously and currently working on.
Yeah, so my projects that I've been working on, my other big one, I have Snake Pit, and then I have Haunted Henry, which is a series that I've been developing for a while. And I was able to get funding for the pilot, and you can watch that on YouTube. We released it publicly because the more that we get views and stuff, the better it looks when we're in those meetings and trying to get the show picked up to make the rest of the series or season or whatever. Uh, but yeah, it's a dark comedy, and it's about a teenage orphan named Henry, and it follows him through the foster care system, and he's been completely discarded in his community due to mysterious circumstances surrounding his stepsister's death. And a lot of people think he killed her, even though he didn't really kill her. He's just haunted, and he attracts ghosts and monsters and stuff, and including his stepsister's ghost. So you follow him through these weirdo foster families in this rural community while his stepsister's sort of sitting in the background poking fun at him all the time. Only he can see her. And the formula for each episode is essentially a family, an or a ghost or a monster comes in, something goes awry, he gets kicked out, and then his social worker set him up with a new foster family in the beginning of the next episode.
Ooh, that sounds really interesting. Very interesting. Uh, what was the process in coming up with that? Was that does that predate Pink Snake Pit, or was that?
Yeah, actually does. The idea of it predates Big Snake Pit by several years. I initially came up with the idea when I was like 13. It was just functioned a little bit differently. I was thinking about an animated show, just like in my daydreams of being that young and thinking about making a cartoon or something. I do have a deep love for animation, but it's a lot harder than live action, a lot more expensive too. I had this idea for almost Courage the Cowardly Dog style sort of quirky horror cartoon, and there was no originally, but it was just the concept of this haunted boy going from foster care home to foster care home, and things going wrong here and there, and something crazy happening every episode with a different monster or something. But it evolved more into a comedy, and I revisited the idea like a year and a half ago when I wrote the script for the pilot and started developing the series. And uh, local producer named Kristen Dober, uh, who's just incredible, watched Snake Pit and talked to me and was just basically like, "What do you want to make next? Well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Oh, you want to make something? Let's make something together." I was like, "Oh wow, okay." So I sent her the script for the pilot, and she ended up funding the whole thing and getting it made. And we're able to get some really incredible actors, and yeah, I couldn't be happier with it. It's definitely a step up in production value, I think, from Snake Pit in terms of money, especially. And yeah, really proud of it. Check it out. In addition, if comedy is more your thing, I think you'll enjoy it. It's a little more palatable for like a casual viewing. The Snake Pit is.
Yeah, when I post this on this and the review on YouTube, I'll link both the Pink Snake Big Short and Haunted Henry pilot.
Cool. Thanks.
Yep. What do you just mentioned something? There's a local producer. Now, what do you think about the filmmaking scene in the city of Birmingham?
Yeah, man, I think that it's like there's stuff just sort of underneath the surface all the time. You have all these really talented people that are just constantly itching to work on something, which is oh, how say that. You have there's all these incredibly talented people that are just itching to work on something all the time. You know, it can be very supportive, and it's very diverse. There's a lot of great actors here. There's a lot of hidden talent, and yeah, I mean, it's a nice community. The excitement you see from people uh, with these projects or wanting to work on them is really amazing, and I'm happy to be able to work with such an amazing group of people. I think it's something that goes pretty under the radar to the rest of the world. The fact that there's so many great people here uh, that can make such beautiful images or music or whatever piece of the filmmaking puzzle it may be. That's a really beautiful aspect of filmmaking is that it's not something you can do alone. It's a community effort. You know, as a director, I'm just like a little piece of it. Uh, and half the job is just finding other people that are really good and trusting them with it and giving them agency to do something with it. I always kind of use the idea of like, I have the idea and then I put it into other people's hands to elevate it. And, you know, and of course I'll shape it along the way and make sure it stays on the right track. But it's always really cool when somebody else has an idea or a new way of looking at it that just improves the entire thing.
That's a really good perspective to look at it. Max, do you see yourself? Well, you said you remade this film. And I wrote this question before I knew that. Jeez. Do you see yourself remaking this film, or maybe any short that you've made before, with a larger budget? Sort of like a David Sandberg Lights Out sort of thing. Uh, if so, what would you do with that additional creative and financial freedom?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to really be done with a bit. Uh, I don't know if there's because when I made it the second time, my thinking was like, okay, if I do this again, this has to be the best version of it. I mean, I'm sure there's certain. The only thing about Snake Pit that I've changed that I was sort of displeased with is I think that some of the audio it took a lot of just because of the way that it was some of the challenges we faced on set with recordings is kind of rough around the edges. So the only thing that I think I'd really want to change about Snake Pit if I could was I would improve the quality of the audio. Not that I think it's at a point now, and I spent enough money. Hopefully, it, that it's not something you really think about while you watch it. But I definitely notice it at points. Think about the fact that
Yeah, for me in the like movie making, anything type that, audio is the bane of my existence.
oh yeah, dude. I that's one thing that I do a lot of stuff. Like I do the VFX, I edit, I direct, I write, I do all the art. But when it comes to audio, I was like, this is something I'm gonna leave entirely to somebody else. I do not enjoy. I enjoy good audio. I do not enjoy working with audio.
Yeah.
That every aspect of that craft so much because it is something that I would never want to do.
Yeah, I think I was working on a production and we just I don't know what happened. We paused like 3 or 4 times just so our boom operator can get like background sound or something.
Yeah, yeah. Room tone is really important.
Yeah, I didn't
Uh,
I had no clue what was going on. Like, what we're not talking? We're just gonna sit here silent? What?
yeah, dude, it's crazy how it works now because or you could even like you can get a noise print for stuff. So if there's background noise you want to take out, if you can get like an isolated recording of that, what that sounds like, then you can use an artificial intelligence program to take any occurrence of that same noise out of the recording other recordings.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Max. Okay, I'm gonna need you to prepare yourself for this one. All right, this is the most important question.
Okay,
Okay. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
pineapple on pizza. I'm not a fan. First
Get the
place,
fuck
no,
out. Get out.
not a fan of it. First place. You know
Uh,
what? If other people want to enjoy it, that's okay. But it's I wouldn't eat it. We can half it. You can have half pineapple, and I can have something a little more boring.
yeah, I don't like a lot of meat on a pizza. I can't eat pork, so it's like I don't know. I don't go for all meat.
Yeah, I'm more of a cheese or veggie guy.
Well, Max, that's about all I got for you today. Anything you want to say?
Thanks for having me and asking me questions. I hope I gave you some stuff to work with. No hate to any of the pineapple out there. I love pineapple by itself. Uh, I can't do it on pizza, but that's okay. Everyone has their own taste.
All right. All right. Well, you have a good day.
All right, and you too.
All right. Thank you. All right.